let's go to root canals, which obviously I think is crucially important. Maybe you can just speak about that documentary Root Cause that was pulled off Netflix. I'm sure you know the details because this might just people might be listening and say, "Oh, documentary got pulled off, Netflix. That means a lot." People, they didn't want people to see that. But there was something like a 97% correlation, not causation, but correlation between someone who had breast cancer and a root canal on the same side. But speak into that space and what's happening with regards to root canal and your health.
So, root cause was an interesting thing. It really sparked a lot of interest in this whole discussion, which I was thrilled with because we were talking about it already, but people were really questioning the legitimacy of what we were saying.
Mm,
And the documentary was pulled after about a month of being out. And whose money did that? We can only suppose.
mm.
But there are 45 million root canals performed in the United States per year alone.
Wow. Wow.
So, what
Mm,
that means is there is a lot of business that's dependent on root canals. Excuse me. And there are a lot of practitioners that are performing them. I don't like to go to the conspiracy side of things, but
mm,
obviously it got pulled because someone didn't want it to be told, didn't want the story to be told. You can now find it. You can go onto a streaming platform and pay some money, pay $20, and you can watch it now. So you can get it again. But really, the summary of it is that root canals are never completely clean of bacteria. And it's just because of the way a tooth is made. There's a main canal inside of each tooth, and that main canal has feeder channels that go off. And it just makes sense, right? This is how nutrients get from the body all the
mm,
way to the part of the tooth that you see out here. There's the main canal and then tiny little feeder channels. The main canal can be cleaned and filled. The tiny little feeder channels cannot. So you always have dead tissue left in the tooth. Dead tissue always attracts bacteria, no matter what. This is why we don't, take your gallbladder out, fill it up with, rubbery stuff and put it back in. Why? Because the bacteria are going to find it. It's going to get infected. Same thing happens with a tooth. We clean it out, we fill it up with rubbery stuff, leave it there. Dead organ, dead tooth in the body. How does this correlate with cancer and any of these other concerns? Well, that bacteria does find the dead tissue. Now, this creates an immune demand. Your immune system has to go deal with it, right? It's got a low grade chronic infection that never goes away around that tooth. If immune system has to come and deal with this. Also, every single time that you chew, it's like a plunger pushing those bacteria through the bloodstream throughout the rest of the body. So the immune system has a pretty big thing going on here. Tooth is dead. You can't feel it. You have no local symptoms. This is the most common thing I hear from people. They'll say, "Well, I can't feel it. Like nothing hurts." But one of my very favorite examples was actually the first time that changed my mind about this. I saw a patient and she had a root canal in this area, right up on the top. She said it's just never felt right. And that's real common words people will say. It's just never felt right or something's just a little off. They never say it hurts. So we took a regular dental x-ray. Regular old, the kind that goes in your mouth, snap it, looked at it, and I said, it looks fine. And every dentist that you had showed it to would have said, it looks fine. But I had just gotten my new cone beam CT scan machine. So I said, you know what? Let's go take a cone beam CT scan. What is this? It's a dental specific CT scan that's done in your dental office. It goes around your head and it shows everything in 3 dimensions because a dental x-ray that we put in your mouth shows me 2 dimensions. I can see side to side and that's
mm.
about it, top to bottom, but I can't see front to back. I can't see bone. I can't see any of that. So we took the scan, opened it up, and she and I both just, took a deep breath because there was a quarter size hole in the jawbone above that root canal tooth where bacteria had eaten away her jaw, literally almost her cheek. And I could
Mm.
not see it on the dental x-ray. I had no
Sure.
idea it was there. So this is the issue. We don't know it's there. And all of that infection is draining somewhere. Where is it draining? Draining into the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is just the sewer system of the body. Draining into the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system of the head and neck drains into the right axillary area, basically the armpit. The left is kind of the rest of the body. So a lot of people will say things like, "Gosh, I'm always kind of a little smelly, but only on the right side."
Mm.
Guess what? You've got dental infection. You
Yeah.
got something going on because it's on the right side. But there's also something called dental meridians. And this has been studied for thousands of years from the Chinese forever ago, where they found that every tooth is connected with organ systems in the body. So if there's a short, and I liken it to, your house. If there's a short on the line where that light switch and that light and a couple of other things are connected, well, everything on that line is going to be affected as well. Same thing goes on with the body. So if you have a dead tooth that's infected right here on the line that goes right to your right breast, right here on that right root, right bicuspid area, or if you have an infected area where you had a wisdom tooth removed and that's your endocrine system, or a lung, large intestine right here, a lower molar, what we see is huge correlation between infection here and infection elsewhere. One of my very favorite stories about this is a gentleman who came in and I saw him as a new patient, and my first thought was he looked orange. Like he just looked
Mm.
orange. And I'm pretty blunt. So a couple minutes into the conversation, I said, has anyone told you you look a little orange? And he said, everybody. They ask me why I do self-tanner. He said, I don't do any, like, I don't know what it is. We took a cone beam CT scan. He had gotten hit in the mouth when he was young with a baseball and had root canals across these front teeth. Guess what connection these are?
Yeah.
The liver.
Liver. Yeah.
He had jaundice. He literally was jaundiced
Mm.
because of infected root canals
Mm.
right here in the front of his mouth. And I can tell you on and on and on and on.
Mm.
I've yet to find a person who has cancer that doesn't have infection somewhere in their mouth. I haven't found one yet
My
because the
goodness.
body cannot be healthy when the mouth has chronic infection.
Wow. Just say that again, because that could be causative or correlative, but just say it again.
Yep, I have not found one person who has had or has cancer that doesn't have an infection somewhere in their mouth.
Sure.
You simply cannot be healthy. Your body cannot be healthy unless your mouth is healthy.
So do you think it's correlative and or causative there? Because I mean, that's a massive statement to make. Is the
Yep,
cancer causing the infection in the mouth, or is it both ways?
I think it's correlative in that it creates an immune system deficit or immune system stressor. So now the immune system is unable to care for other things. And I mean, I'm sure you talk about this all the time.
Mm.
Our bodies are incredible. We have 37 trillion cells, and those cells are replicating themselves every single day. Literally, your liver can remake itself in a month. The entire thing can grow back in a month's time.
Mm.
So every single cell is remaking itself constantly. Sometimes when those cells are remade, they mess up. The programming doesn't come through as it
Mm.
should. Well, your immune system's job is to identify those mismade cells and kill them. That's part of the work that it does. When one of those cells is not killed, but continues to replicate itself, that's what cancer is. So if your immune system is distracted, worn out, tired, dealing with something else 24/7, it's less capable of
Mm.
keeping your body at its best. Does that make sense? Less
Yeah.
capable of killing those mismade cells that happen every single day in all of our bodies. It's
Mm.
less capable of keeping us well when it's working so hard to deal with this. So I don't think it's causative. I don't think anybody could say that from a tooth perspective, but it's 100% correlative. And you
Mm.
mentioned Thomas Levy. He talks about how literally 80% of what's happening elsewhere, there's some correlation going on in the mouth. He has research showing all of this, and
Mm.
it's actually come to life in my practice.